Jack, how's your writing going? What are you working on as a writer?
Hockey game.
Are you working on a personal narrative piece?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk to me about where you are in your writing right now.
I'm at a hockey game.
Are you still in drafting your piece? Still working on finishing it up?
I'm done. I just need to edit and revise.
Okay, so you're going to go back and revise. And I'm so glad that you said that, because you know what, Jack? Did you know that as writers, we are constantly revising our writing? We're going back and we're rereading it and thinking about ways that we can make it better. Did you know that writers do that, and even authors that write books do that?
Yeah.
Would you share with me your piece that you've written so far?
One day, I went to a very important hockey game in Nashville, but the game is called an All-Star game. It is more by Honda. Before the game, we went skating. The ice was so soaked. I got my clothes all wet and so. Then we got s'mores, and I saw my best friend. Then there was a skills competition before the game. Then the game was starting. Finally, the game was over, and someone got most valuable and got a car.
Wow.
And then we went home.
Very cool. Jack, I am so glad that you wrote about this piece and this experience in your life that you shared with your dad. That's awesome. I want to tell you something that you have done really well as a writer, okay? And something I want you to continue, okay? You know what you have shown me in this piece of writing?
Mm-hmm.
You know that a personal narrative is about writing about an experience, right? Because that's exactly what you've done here. You've shared with me an experience about going to a hockey game, okay? Now, can I teach you something that I think is going to help you when you go back and you start revising this personal narrative piece? Okay, when you think about a personal narrative piece and you think about your purpose for writing, okay, for your reader, you know, because you're writing this for all of your readers, you have to think about, what do you want to share with them? Now, I know that you want to share a moment from going to the hockey game, right?
Mm-hmm.
But writers, what they do, instead of telling about a whole big experience, they narrow their focus and they get really detailed about one specific moment, okay? And so what I want you to do is, when you're revising this piece, I want you to think about a moment in that hockey game that was really neat or really cool. Can you do that for me?
Mm-hmm.
Can you think right now about a moment in that hockey game that you shared that was really neat, that you remember really well? What was that moment, Jack?
When they first scored the game-winning goal.
Say that again. Who scored the game-winning goal?
My dad's player.
Okay, so tell me about that moment leading up to him scoring that goal. What happened when he scored that goal? What did fans do?
Made lots of noise.
Yeah, they stand up and cheer. Can you picture that moment in your head? You know, like, that moment in the game was probably something that was really exciting, right? Something that you obviously remember from that time of going to the hockey game. And that's what your readers want. They want to know what specifically about this hockey game made it so special or so memorable. Okay, that's what makes it a personal narrative. We want to narrow our focus and focus on one specific thing that happened. Okay, because you have really great ideas. You know, you talked to me about how you went on the ice and you went there before a skills competition, and you told me about how the game started, but I'm interested about what happened in the game. What one moment can you really describe for me in detail? Okay? And so what we do is, like, instead of going back and erasing what we wrote, because what we wrote is good, we just add on pieces of paper, or we can write on this piece of paper, and you can write in detail about that moment. Okay? So talk to me for just a minute before you go back to your seat and you jot down some notes about that moment of that. Your dad's player scored the winning goal, okay? Can you picture that in your mind? Can you picture it happening in your mind? Tell me about it.
Well, I can picture it with...
Did he have the puck the whole time? Did he have it passed to him?
Yeah.
Okay. And what did he do? Was he weaving in and out of players to get to the goal? He was? Okay. What else? Okay, so here's what I want you to do, okay? This is your job today as a writer. I want you to, when you go back to your seat and you work on writing, I want you to think about that one moment and write down anything that you remember about that one moment. Because when we meet again, we're going to find a way that we can put this into our story, into our personal narrative. Because what that is doing is you're adding rich detail to really paint a good picture for your reader. Okay? And that's what we want to do as writers. We want to paint a really good picture for our readers so that they know about what that experience was like. Okay? All right. So tell me again what you're going to do when you go back to your seat. What are you going to jot down on this piece of paper?
Picture what happened on that time.
Yeah. What happened in that moment leading up to when that player scored that goal? Think about the atmosphere, okay? What were the fans doing? What were you doing? What were you thinking, okay? Any kind of notes are good notes, okay? And those are going to be rich details that we're going to add into our story, okay? Just remember as writers going forward that when we're writing personal narratives, our focus is on one small moment, okay? And that one small moment is going to be leading up to when that player scored that goal, okay? All right. Good job today, Jack.